Hey everybody, welcome back to Out of the Ordinary with Jay, and back by popular demand, I'm with the professor. And professor, first name is Phil, right?
Yes.
And Phil, for especially for this video more than others, I think it's important to get your age if you don't mind. So, how old are you?
62. I turned 62 just 3 weeks ago.
All right. Well, happy belated birthday. That's
Thank
pretty
you.
good. You look amazing for 62.
Exercise and diet.
Exercise and diet.
That's a secret, baby.
Exercise, diet, and interviews. Just kidding.
Yeah, the interviews help too. Keep the mind sharp.
There you go. The reason why I was asking your age is because we're going to talk about a topic today about having children, or rather not having children. And, you know, I have chosen to not have kids, and at 62 you've gone a very long time without having kids. And so I just thought it'd be an interesting topic to talk about, making that sort of choice in life. So let's start off with this. When you were younger, did you ever imagine yourself having kids, or was it always clear to you that you didn't want them?
Honestly, I didn't really think about it very much.
No?
Yeah, it wasn't first and foremost my mind. I imagine at various times in my life, it's crossed my mind, thought
Right.
about children and what my children might be like and raising them, but
Sure.
it's not anything that occupied my time a whole lot, and it's nothing that I really thought about very much because I just figured I would cross that bridge when I got there.
Well, it's like, it's kind of like the normal, like, sort of, it's more traditional or whatever to have had children. I mean, at least
Right.
culturally, I think it's changing quite a bit now. But yeah, I don't know, for my own self, I think I was definitely more of the, hey, you're supposed to get married, you're supposed to have 2.5 kids, have the picket fence.
I want to see how you have
Yeah, I don't know about that, half a
kid.
But I just kind of thought that's the way it was. And then as I started to get older, or rather as my friends started to get older, I was like, well, wait a minute, they sure are having a heck of a commitment. And I saw a lot of them modify their dreams or change or wipe them out. In other words, they're like, oh, I'm going to do this, and like, no, I'm not. Now I'm raising kids. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I get that, right? But for me, I just as I started to get older, I was like, well, wait a minute. I'm like, I don't want to give up on my dreams, and not only that, I don't want anything to get in the way of my dreams. I know it's a
Right.
horrible way to say it, but I always thought, hey, if I'm going to raise kids, I'm going to do a great job, and I know what that takes based on observation, and I would not be able to dedicate myself to these other things that I'd like to do. And so that's kind of where it came to pass for me. And then, and then just as I saw everybody else getting older and saw the way that kind of what it required, I was like, no,
Right.
thanks. I'll do my own thing here.
Yeah, for me it was more a matter of just first things first. First thing is find a woman that I'm interested in marrying,
Yeah.
and then considering
Right.
raising a family if we were both interested in doing that. So I wasn't going to put the cart before the horse, so to speak. It's first things first. First, find someone that I feel strongly enough about that I want to marry the person and live with that person the rest of my life. And then, so earlier when I said, cross that
Yeah.
bridge when I get there, that was basically my mindset was, first thing you have to do is find someone that you're willing to spend your life with and with whom you want to have a family.
Right. I do think, like, even that, some of that would probably pertain to, like, maybe like a little bit of like age. Like if you found someone in your 20s, sure, maybe you like go for it. But you find someone in your 50s, maybe, don't.
Well,
I don't know.
honestly, I think I told you this earlier. I had a girlfriend about 4 years ago, and she was much younger than I am.
Congratulations.
And, thank you. And I will tell you, I was
Thinking about it.
I was thinking about it,
Yeah.
and I thought to myself, wow, if I do end up marrying this woman, then she's young enough. If she wants children, it's something that I would actually consider. I actually entertained the thought, but things didn't work out. Like I said, there was a big age difference. We were at different points in our lives, and it just we parted on good terms, but things just didn't work out. But I did actually entertain the thought seriously for the first time in my life when I was with that woman.
Right, and you're 62 now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have an attorney that I know that I think he had his first kid at 62, and like, good for him. And he's a very youthful, you'd never know that the guy was 62. I mean, you'd have to ask him to verify with his license, because he looks and acts so much younger. But I'm like, man, when a kid graduates, you're going to be 80, and that just seems like, and a lot of people have that I've heard, they're sort of like, whoa, you're crazy or whatever to this guy. But I'm like, definitely you would say that most people that age are having a little bit less energy, right? But not you and not him, right?
Right.
But at the same time, I wonder if like his experience and knowledge kind of offsets,
Right.
some of the robust energy that he might otherwise have exhausted. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Anyway.
exactly. And the other thing for me is I was getting ready to retire. I retired 2 years ago now. So for me, it would have been a little bit easier in the sense that I would have had the time to spend with a family,
Right.
one or more kids, and so it would have been less stressful in that sense.
Right. Well, along the same idea, at 62, for men of your generation, having children was almost like the default expectation, so to speak. Did people react a certain way when you said you didn't want kids, or when enough time went along and you didn't have kids? Did you get any? I don't want to say flack, but nobody said really anything.
No.
Like, that's just Phil.
Yeah, and I know plenty of guys like myself who never married, never had kids. I come from my mother's side of the family is pretty large, and I had 2 uncles who never married, never had children, and another uncle who did get married, but never had children. So
so you never really felt like too judged or misunderstood or pressured by family or friends about your choice?
Never.
So one of the criticisms that
except my family. My mother would I want grandchildren.
Oh, sure.
Don't hold
that's
your
also her default mechanism.
Yes,
so
of course.
I get that. Well, because like one of the criticisms that I've kind of heard over time, not necessarily pointing too much at myself, although I have sort of heard this from time to time, is like, you're selfish for not having kids. That's a selfish decision, and I don't disagree with that. I don't. I think that is indeed a selfish decision, because I literally said to myself, I'm like, hey, I have these other dreams I want to pursue. Right. Having children, would get in the way of that, and I don't want to do that. Indeed, that's selfish. The only counter to that I would say is I think having kids is equally as selfish. It's something you wanted to do, or something you chose to do, or if you weren't getting anything out of it, you would not do that either. And so I don't think anyone's more selfish than the other than maybe we're not doing our part to repopulate the species. But besides that, I don't think it's any more selfish than any other thing. What do you think?
I agree completely, and in fact, I'd like to flip that around. Because I think a lot of people, or at least a fair number of people, have children who shouldn't have children. At least you and I made the decision. We thought about it and what having children entails and the responsibility that it entails, and we decided for both of us that it's not what we want to do at this time. And think of how many people have children who don't really think it through and don't fully understand the responsibility that will be thrust upon them, and so they have children, and I hate to say it, but they do a very poor job of parenting those children. Thankfully, I think most people are good parents, but you do have a number of people who do have children who shouldn't have children because it's not the right time for them, and they're not willing,
or never would be the right time for some of them, to be honest with you. I mean, I know some people that are just, they should never have been parents.
Precisely.
So
I think in that sense, I don't see our decision as being selfish at all. We have determined that at this point in time, or maybe ever, we just don't want to assume that
what,
responsibility.
you're right. It's not selfish, because I'm paying all these taxes and stuff for everybody else's kids to go to school and use up all the resources. I'm getting nothing out. Their kids are benefiting from mine. Anyway, I'm just kidding.
And I was a teacher for many years.
See, so
teaching
exactly
students. So that's how I did my part for society.
Yeah, I mean, just a slight tangent or little rant I have is that I always it's way too easy for people to have children, to the point of it doesn't always work out. People aren't always raising good kids and all that stuff. Any two goofballs that can get it on end up can end up having a kid that all of the rest of us have to deal with. And I've just never, I understand it, right? That's nature, but I've never understood it, particularly like when, to drive a car, you got to learn all these skills, take a test, and then only then do you get a license to drive a car. But to parent a kid, there's nothing, unless you're trying to adopt or become a foster parent. Then they're going to run you through the ringer to make sure that you can financially support this kid, that you've got, your good jobs, you're going to be good parents, there won't be abuse, all these things that should be prerequisites to being a parent. They'll do that if you're adopting, right, or fostering, but not if you're in the back of a van somewhere. And so there's no way that they're ever going to solve that. That's just my own personal rant that drives me crazy. But
but having children is natural. It's a natural function of being
I
human.
know,
it's been
but
that way since day one.
I know, but the counter to that is it's so impactful to everybody else in society that it's like, man, you don't have some basic exam or a license anyway. I know that's a big rant that's not going to get any legs, but it does drive me crazy, and we can see the fallout from that in everyday things, from welfare to drugs to everything else that happens in society. Anyway, I'm never going to solve that here. Okay. Do you think it's easier for men or women to make the choice not to have children, and why?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know if it's easier for men or women to make the choice to not have children.
I think for women, there's a very strong maternal instinct.
Right.
And my experience has been, just talking to people, has been that generally women are more interested in having children than men.
Yeah.
I know. I hate to make blanket statements.
No, that's okay. Yeah.
But I know plenty of guys who just have no interest in kids and children. But most
I'm sure the
women,
percentages probably favor female over male in terms of the want, or that's probably some evolutionary biological thing.
Exactly.
But I do think it is. I think it probably is tougher for women to make the choice to not have children, because I think they might be ostracized more if they didn't. I also think that because they're the carrier, they're the carriers, they're in charge of whether, at least in some states and some countries, of whether they're going to keep the child or not if they were to get pregnant, right? And so I think it's just always tougher for them to maybe make the choice to not to have or not have, just generally speaking.
I would agree with you, but I'm a little bit hesitant to make a definitive statement.
Yeah. And and I don't even remember what I just said, so we'll just go with that. Okay. So, what do you see as some of the biggest benefits of life without children, of living a life without children? What are some of the benefits?
There are monetary benefits.
Oh, big ones. What do they say it costs to raise a kid nowadays?
I don't know, but
like
it's
a quarter, like I think it might even be up to like $500,000 or something.
It's a lot
before they're 18. So big savings there. That could all be going into a retirement fund.
And then, of course, other benefits is, as you and I know, because of the decisions we made, you have time to pursue other interests. Because raising a family, if you do it properly, the way it's supposed to be done in a responsible manner, it consumes a lot of your time.
Totally.
And so you have more time to pursue other interests. Monetarily, you have more money to spend on things that you want to do instead of spending on children. So I think those are probably the greatest benefits. When I say being able to do things you want to do, you can pick up and
just
leave. If I want to fly out to Hawaii or whatever for a weekend, I don't have to worry about the kids are in school or anything of that nature. The same thing with, you could say that with pets too, because I know lots of people have pets.
That's what I was just going to say.
Oh, wow.
That's what I was just
I have to find a place. Either I have to take my pets with me, or I have to have someone take care of them or put them in a kennel or whatever. And it just makes it more difficult.
I was just going to say that exact thing. As I was thinking, we're not talking about the benefits of having children. We're talking about the benefits of with a life without the children, just for the moment. But I remember having dogs. I was like, man, it was so limiting, especially in terms of travel, even short-term travel. The considerations that had to be made, long-term travel, forget about it. And those were dogs, not children.
Yeah.
So that have school and other obligations. So anyways, I definitely can see that. Yeah, I think there are yeah, I think to me, I just go back to one of the biggest benefits for my own self of not having children was um, I was a very ambitious. I am a very ambitious person, and a lot of dreams. Not enough time to tackle them all,
Right.
and so for me, the biggest benefit was I was able to not have to dedicate any time other than the things that I wanted to dedicate my time to specifically.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I had that's it. Have you ever had though moments of like doubt or regret now that you're 62 about not having kids?
Not really. The only the only thing that bothers me is, at least if you have children and you're on good terms with your children, then when you get old and you need help, you can usually count on your kids to help you a little bit in your old age, and I won't have that.
Well,
So,
I'm going to put some quotes around usually, and then I'll underline a little bit, because it's been my experience that at least in most of the cultures that I've been exposed to, that and I don't think it's good, but I like it in some of the like the Asian cultures, right? When people get older, they're very revered, and like they're the wise person that you go and talk to. And
Right.
if they're walking around with a little light walker and can barely get along, that just means they're wiser, and you should definitely talk to them, right? Here, it seems a little bit more like, hey, they're not very useful anymore, and like, you know what I mean? And
where's Dr. Kevorkian?
Right, and also because people's lives are so busy, I just don't see. I have been around a number of people that have gotten older and passed away, and the children were there to help to some degree, but I don't think in as meaningful a way as a lot of people imagine.
Yeah,
I think so many people, if they can afford it, they end up getting helpers to come in there and do
you
and all this stuff.
Professionals, yes.
Yeah, and so
I
I'm
mean,
like,
even if a person is really debilitated, I think it's the word, right?
Yeah.
Debilitated.
Yeah.
Depending on what kind of illness a person has, they could even be living with other family members, but you still may need professional help.
Yeah. And I've almost never seen it, even when the family has helped them. At least while it's happening, I've almost never seen them, the older person, A, not feel like a burden,
right,
and B, them not being treated like a burden.
Yeah.
Like I've just never seen it. Not after about a week. It's sort of like this natural thing, at least in our culture. And so
it's very stressful.
So I guess my point is I'm not so sure that, like, I understand that that's like, missing out on that caregiving, but I'm not sure what level that caregiving really is, to be honest with you. Anyway.
But anyway, a little more serious response to your question.
Yeah.
Your question with the downsides of not having
regret,
children.
doubt or
regrets,
regret.
Right. So that was I don't want to say that was a flippant response, but it was not a primary concern.
Okay.
I would say, as far as regrets, as far as not having children, I look at other people who have children, and I see the joy that their children bring them.
Oh, yes.
I mean, some people, you have kids who are problem kids, but for the most part, most people I know who have children, they love their children, and it's, you see your children growing up, and you're experiencing all that with them, and it's exciting to see them win a football game, or win a medal, or graduate from high school, or go to college and get a career, and
particularly when you can push your broken dreams onto them and force feed it to them. That's the best part. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I agree that, and my response to that would be, I guess unless I end up having kids, which I don't think is going to happen, but I guess I wouldn't know what I'm missing. Right?
Yeah, well,
I can kind of see observationally,
right,
but I'd have to just kind of imagine, because I wouldn't really know.
Right. Well, that's how I feel. Is I can only imagine, or I have an inkling of what I'm missing.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you know what other people tell you, what they're doing, what they're going through.
Right.
And you're not experiencing the same thing, and you see how happy they are.
Gotcha. So some people say that not having children means missing out on a sense of legacy. How do you feel about that idea?
That doesn't bother me so much.
How come?
I mean, I am my family name is going to end with me, at least this particular branch.
Okay.
I feel a little guilty about that, but I don't lose sleep over it.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I really don't think much about legacy at all, to be honest with you. And I know I'm kind of a weirdo there, but I just don't. I care much more about what people think about me right now, than anything that I'm gonna leave behind. So, do you think, since both of us don't have kids, do you think our culture, and I'll say our culture meaning United States, still treats not having kids as abnormal, or is that changing?
Oh, I don't think it's treated as abnormal at all.
No.
No, there are
Okay.
plenty of people who never have children.
Right.
Even when I was young,
Yeah.
I never.
Okay.
If I knew people who didn't have children, older people who didn't have children, it didn't faze me. Like I said, I had 2 uncles, never married, never had kids.
Yeah, okay.
I never thought it was strange. That was just their decision.
Yeah, I think about the age that I'm at, like I agree. It's not treated as abnormal anymore, but there is this sort of like rite of passage where all of a sudden everybody's coupled, everybody's having kids, and then like you're not. You know what I mean? And so it's like a weird, everybody's meeting up for Jamie's dance recital or the soccer team or whatever,
Right.
and you've got no one to push out there. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And so from that perspective, it's a little bit different. But other than that, yeah, I don't think that. Well, listen, we know it's changing culturally though everywhere because
Right.
population numbers are down, and that's just what happens in developed society. So.
And to tell you the truth, you talk about getting
Mm-hmm.
older, seeing your friends get married and have families. That does strike you when you're that age,
Mm-hmm.
but then give it another 10, 20 years, and you know what you find out? All those people are, not all, but a lot of them are getting divorced.
Oh yeah, no, right, exactly. Yeah.
And I think to myself, maybe I didn't miss out on that
Yeah,
much.
right.
But they
Yeah.
have the kids, and which
Yeah.
is
And that kids is a
something.
two-way street from my experience, because either they can be not the cause of divorce. No kid's the cause of a divorce. I'm not saying that, but that newfound sort of strife, and like maybe they didn't agree on up front on how they're going to raise the kids, right?
Mhm.
All this thing can definitely put strain on a relationship. Similarly, it goes the other way. You see it where so many people that otherwise probably shouldn't have been together in the first place will stay together because of children,
Right, yeah.
which I think that, I don't know if that's better or worse, but that is a thing that happens.
You have to consider that on a case by case.
Yeah, I think you got to consider that. Yeah, exactly, case by case, and really what's best for the children at that point.
Right.
What advice would you give to younger people today? Speaking of kids, what advice would you give to younger people today who are questioning whether or not to have children?
Well, I think it goes back to what we were discussing earlier. The main thing is decide whether, why you would want children,
Mm-hmm.
and decide if you decide that having children is something you would like to do, then just make sure you're ready to assume that responsibility. Because like I said, you don't want to be having children if you're not ready to assume all the responsibility that comes along with it. And
Right.
maybe it's not a matter of now or never. It could just be right now, I'm not financially secure,
Right.
or I'm not emotionally mature enough to raise a child, but maybe 5-10 years down the road I will be.
Yeah, I think my answer to that is I'll say I've heard that people say there's really no perfect time to have children, right? Because it's always this sacrifice. There's always going to be a thing. And then just my own objective thoughts on this are, I'd say my advice to younger people thinking about having kids is I would say, don't do it out of obligation. Do it because you feel like it's something that you want to do. I would also say like my own thoughts would be like wait till like you're closer to like 30 to like evaluate this when you have some more knowledge, some more experience, and because once you're in, you're in. And I would also say like probably partner matters. Like I think that
of course,
like
it's
you
huge.
gotta get on the same page with somebody and hope that they're willing to help you out and do all those things. So and then if it still passes muster, then go for it. Have as many as you want. If that's what you're. But I don't like the idea of like having kids because you're like supposed to. That just bugs me.
No, the
I
first.
feel like that's doomed to fail.
First priority is be able to take care of yourself. If you're not able to take care of yourself, you'll never be able to take care of another person that you bring into the world.
Fair
So
point.
first thing you do, you grow up, you become independent, you make sure you can take care of yourself, and your partner.
That's pretty good.
And then, once that's established, then you make the decision are we financially secure enough? Are we in the right point in our lives where we want to raise children? I have a couple friends back in New York, and I remember when they got married, the wife, she was working at a college, and her husband, when they got married, was still in law school. And so they held off on having children until he was out of law school and had a job, a good paying job, and they could afford to have children. So that was that was a conscious decision on their part to make sure that they were financially sound, and their the future looked promising before they made the jump to having children.
I have a similar friends of mine. They just both became doctors recently, so they both graduated from medical school and then waited till they got their contracts with the various hospitals or whatever, and then they decided to pull the trigger. So yeah, I get it. Do you think people who don't have kids can still contribute something equally meaningful to society?
Of course, everybody contributes to society. Hey,
wait, we're not.
Teacher.
We're not worthless. Great, thank you. That's good to know. Right, you're a teacher, so you were teaching everybody else's kids.
But regardless,
lots of kids.
I mean, every person contributes to society in some way, shape, or form, either in a positive way or a negative way. But you can contribute to society in so many ways. You don't have to have children to contribute to society.
Yeah, I mean, they take my tax dollars just as easy as anybody else's. No, but I agree with that. I mean, like, some person that's creating some medical breakthrough or whatever, that's locked themselves in a lab for however long, they're contributing, right?
Thank
I mean,
goodness
there's
for that person.
And also that's not to
Isaac Newton never had children. Albert Einstein, Einstein did have children.
Well, but there's also people that that just can't have children, right? There's that other flip side of people that want to have them and can't. Are we to say that their life is not contribute? That's ridiculous. So
it is.
Yeah. So anyways, I agree with that. Okay. Do you have anything else you wanted to add about not having kids and your decision to not have kids?
No, I really can't think of anything else. It's just every person has to decide for themselves if having children is the right thing for them, and if they decide that is the case, then decide when it's the right time to have children.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I would just say to each their own, and it's consequential either way. I mean, that's the way life is. All right. Thank you, Professor.
Of course.
Appreciate it.
Anytime.